agus fáilte bla ormh go trí seascad. In program ag BBC Alba had go crea scéalach gan na boranich ingantach an sùil spórs na Halba, agus a thachair fellah cuideachd second nám a cóideachd neach gan mór in lá. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus ha mi toiridh ra go bhfuil banna lech bal cóise callrooms in studio. Bhainna captain ar skipan na Halba, ché chuir an arabas mohaid a helga dúich coile ach Julie Fleeting MBE. Ar program na heiche noch coiti sin arás ar seachcin bhórde bhil cóise Eorpach agus SWPL a hen. Cuideachd cluinnidh sin bhfuil sean skipper hockey na Halba Kaz Cuthbert mun dreuchd uaireachta mar Iar Cheann-Suidhe Hogaidh Alba. Le sé seachcin for an sùil an tail ar na stáin a sin na sùil ar an aoigh cluicheadair an balcóise meòrachadh ar an tuamh seáide chuáin. Agus coiti sin arás ar gama cluichskipper náisiúnta na Halba an Paisley an bhliadhna. Julie, welcome to 360.
Thank you.
Now, your career, 121 caps for Scotland, 116 goals. Can you just tell us about your journey in football from the start?
I kind of played just in the street with boys who lived close to me, my brother, my cousin lived next door, and for me it was just something I enjoyed for as long as I can remember. My dad was a footballer and then went into management, and I think it just was something that I always had in me that I was going to enjoy, and at the time I thought it was just something that I'll enjoy in the street, not actually knowing that I would ever get the opportunity to go on and play for a club, and certainly not in my wildest dreams did I think I would get the chance to play for my country either, because you didn't really know about women's football back then. So it was very exciting when I signed for a boys club, actually, just through kids at school had asked me. Boys in my class had said, do you want to come along, and we're looking for extra players, and I signed for a boys club, and the only girl in the team and the only girl in the league. But this boys club, the coaches, the players, they welcomed me, and it was a really great start to my football career.
And at that point, were you playing other sports at school too?
Yeah, probably more so when I started secondary school. I played hockey and basketball. I loved all sports at school, but I kind of played hockey and basketball and football outside of school as well, kind of enjoyed them at school, and then went on to play for different clubs just close by where I stayed. So weekends were pretty chocker with games, and my mum and dad doing a lot of taxiing about, but I loved sport, just mostly team sport for me. I loved that whole team environment, and just the friendships and everything that goes along with it. So yeah, sport's a massive part of my life.
I guess when was it did you realise that football is something you could pursue much further and something that would then take you around the world?
I probably didn't realise just how far I could take it, even right up until the moment when I did turn professional. I think it was always in my head something that I would do as a hobby, and I would go to university and get a career and work in order to pay the bills as a teacher, and then at the side enjoy a hobby as a footballer. And I remember I played hockey and basketball. I played basketball at quite a high level, and I was in the national under-16 team, and the same for football. And I got to the point where I then had to make a decision. I was doing my hires, and what sport was it that I wanted to continue kind of later in life. And for me, there was just always something really different about football, the people that I met through football, and the sport itself that I loved. And that was kind of when I had to make my first big decision and stop playing basketball at that level and continue football. So and I've never regretted it.
Because football, it took you kind of across the world, didn't it? Because you were playing out in America, then you were back playing for Arsenal down in England. Can you tell us a bit about those two kind of journeys? Yeah,
so when I went to Edinburgh University to do PE teaching, and in my final year of university I got a phone call to say San Diego Spirit in California were interested in signing me for the second half of their season, and would I like to go out there and play as a full-time professional. And of course I jumped at the chance. So as soon as my degree was finished, I didn't even get to my grad ball or my graduation ceremony, anything. I was just straight on the plane and over to join my teammates. Met them in Boston when we were playing there in that game, and that was kind of halfway. Met them there, had my first game with the team, and then on to San Diego to start my career as a San Diego Spirit player. So it was fantastic. It was very daunting. There's a lot of kind of ups and downs with it. The football, everything on the pitch, I absolutely loved. I loved the sunshine. I loved the daily training. I was playing with players who had recently won the World Cup. Were incredible athletes, incredible footballers. But I was also dealing with the fact that I was so far away from home, in a country where I didn't really know anyone at all. So there was a lot of ups and downs, but the football side of it was just absolutely fantastic.
I can imagine that is hard at a young age when you do move completely to a new country. So was it quite nice coming back to the UK and then eventually playing for Arsenal? Yeah,
I came back. I went out for a second season where I had the full season, and that was a great year. That was probably my favourite. I'd settled in by that point, and when that season ended, the league actually folded. They didn't have enough money for it to run again, and for me it then opened the door and the opportunity for me to go to Arsenal. And they were already a huge club. I had known of a couple other Scottish girls who had spells down there that I played in the national team with, and I knew how well they respected and looked after their female players. So when I got the opportunity to sign for them, I did in my own head, and possibly the coach at Arsenal's head as well. It was a temporary thing. It was maybe half of the season left to go, and I was going to continue to live in Scotland and fly down just for games and home again, and work as a teacher in Scotland. So for me that seemed quite bizarre, and I thought really need to see how it goes. And that season I loved. We were very successful, and that just seemed to be the itinerary for me at the weekend. So it was the way my Arsenal career continued for the whole entire time.
It's quite incredible, and your Scotland career as well. You were playing with Scotland kind of throughout this whole time, weren't you? Yeah,
when I was in San Diego I was playing, so I would fly home for the Scotland games, and then when I was at Arsenal again, yeah, it was a lot easier because I was based in Scotland, and you got the chance to travel to countries that I probably would never go to at any other point. You got the opportunity to have so many incredible experiences, and probably at that time I didn't appreciate it enough, and now when you look back you think just how lucky I was, not only to play for my country but to travel to all these wonderful countries and experience so many great moments. I look back now and I feel very, very blessed.
I can imagine. Well, what a career. Thank you so much. Vai go fastri tug na station enig check broadwood and shachkin sakai. Ach, mi gere call kai Glasgow City Troia breppen pennis and I skip eadar-nàiseanta P-Mount United. Be the nisha click for an Inish Chile. Game he should be BBC Alba and h-Alba. Nach torsion sùil rashmaha a chéad course Jeremy agus game in a dreuchd in SWPL.
When was about nach Thoiridh a Hogaidh. Nuair an díise chud a seach a nuair a Kaz Cuthbert Troia. Tuas cluicheadair Rangers. Hey, oh, die Philippe kan de wijn leer. Steek het daar. Oh, hij staat in uitgetaald. Hij staat.
Julie, just seeing Glasgow City at the start there in that VT play against Peamount in the Champions League, I mean, they had such a great season in the Champions League last season. Do you think they can do that again this year?
I always think Glasgow City can do that. They're a team who seem to thrive playing at that level. All of the players, it's part of the reason that they play for the club, and they all know how important it is. I don't think they played at their best the other night, and there's certainly more to come. So very relieved that they managed to scrape through in penalties. And
they face Valur next. I mean, a team you played with just for a short period of time in your career. After that match last week against Peamount, is there even more pressure on them now in these one-off Champions League games?
There's certainly more pressure when it is that one game, and you have to perform on the day rather than getting a second chance at it. But I think that's the one thing Glasgow City do really well at that level, is when they are under pressure they can produce results, and that's part of the reason that they have been so successful. They've got players with loads of experience at that level who can maybe help those who have come in this season and possibly not got as much experience of playing in Champions League football. So they do have those players to help the others along, and I would be confident that they can continue in the competition.
And they're then coming off the back of these competitive Champions League games during the week into playing in the SWPL, which is so competitive this season. How can they handle that?
It's a massive, massive year for Glasgow City. They've been so used to dominating for such a long period of time, and now they have a lot of competition. We see Rangers taking points from Hibs, and Celtic are getting some fantastic results already this season. So it does look like it's going to be a very exciting season, certainly for the top 4 teams. I think there's just that massive gap now, and you feel for the teams at the bottom when they are playing one of those top sides that it can't do an awful lot for your confidence when you're losing goals of that number. But I mean, that is how you grow and how you get better, is by playing against top players, and it looks like it's going to be an exciting season, and how fantastic to have these players now training every day and full professionals.
Absolutely, and like you say, it is difficult at the bottom of the league because a team like Hearts, who are coming up from SWPL 2, I mean, does it take the pressure off them a little bit, knowing that there is no relegation this season and there will be 2 teams coming up?
I think it will. I think it will give them the opportunity then to grow as a club, and the players to get experience at this level. And there is a huge gap between the leagues, and it's difficult when you make the step and you're playing against players who are training every day and being able to rest after training, and being able to, all of these things are really important when you're an athlete. It's not just about how many training sessions you can get in a week, but the fact that when you finish training, can you go home and put your feet up, or are you then got to rush to your work or to your school or university? And these are the things that female footballers do have to juggle, and I think the fact that for your clubs like Rangers and Celtic, that's taken out of the players' hands, and the only thing that they have to concern themselves with is that they can go to training and perform at that level. So you do feel for the clubs who have a lot of balance that they have to, a lot of sacrifices that they've got to make in their life, but that's exactly where they want to be playing, and certainly against the top players, that's what you want to be doing week in, week out.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how the season shapes up. Fad och bhliadhna diug va Kaz Cuthbert the Hogaidh Alba san spórs as luigh a cria hockey. In uw statue cluis en lunestil vairash an dreuchd uur station, maar Iar Cheann-Suidhe Hogaidh Alba. Hul sin agus fine machje hully rashi.
A deo chainaching ag sean skipper hockey na Alba Kaz Cuthbert, as deoigi in skipper náisiúnta a rochgachug ag imitach farpish.
A Commonwealth Games for a Scottish hockey player, it's the epitome of probably what you can play at if you're not going to quite make it on a GB level to go to the Olympics. It's the biggest multi-sports games that we'll ever go to. I can't comment on an Olympics because I've never been there and I've never been part of a GB setup, but see, to be part of Team Scotland, it's just class. Like, you are this royal blue army of just elite athletes all over the place, you know, and you've got so many idols to look up to, like your Chris Hoys and your shooters and your swimmers, like they're just everywhere. So for a hockey team and a hockey player, a Commonwealth Games really is class to compete at and be part of that huge, like massive team of eliteness. So to be up there trying to fight it out against the best, it's such a great opportunity to challenge where you are.
Sé tlach go mángaí a bhí inimíte mar skipper leis go raibh sé ha moiteil na dlíostanas a bhí istiúrach na cluicheadair agus an-diugh.
I am hugely passionate about everything Scotland, so to be asked to captain, it's not just the honour of stepping out onto a field with a band to say, you know, you're leading this team, but I also just felt it was such a nice sentiment from the coaches to say, we think you're a good leader. You know, you offer skills that the girls can either look to or reflect on, and you can lead that team. So I think for my self-confidence, it was a huge boost. But for my like downright passion, it was just unbelievable. Like, you know, every time I sang the national anthem, it just meant so much to me. So to be actually standing at the front of the team singing that national anthem, it was just, you're never going to top it.
An an glasach chuinnidh, gaf Kaz Páirt an sa narpis meòrachadh aiche, farpis líg a hockey na Alba, far an dalíci seacha de dreuchd le bhon.
The team were outstanding the whole week. We didn't lose a game. At a home venue, our Scottish hockey did so well to get crowds in. We had the second biggest crowd since the Commonwealth Games in 2014. So it was so amazing to have people interested in hockey, people down supporting us. But the team in general was just, they played with such flair and confidence, and we scored lots of goals, which is what people want to see. Like, people don't want to watch a 0-0 or a 1-0. They want to see goals, and we did. We showed what we were capable of, and so just so proud of the team, the coaching staff, and the whole of this kind of Scottish hockey community for just making it an unbelievable event. Like, it was such amazing opportunity to be part and playing in it, but it was just such a great opportunity for everyone in Scotland to showcase hockey and showcase how good it is.
Sé cúgúnach dud a bhón do chluicheadair le miss mórstan spárs háast in dreuchd ágal.
I did know last year that was going to be it for me, but actually verbalise the words I am not playing anymore is a really difficult thing, and you'll hear from lots of different sporting people about retiring, and it's, you know, some people, it leaves a hole, because again, it's been such a huge part of my life for most of my life now, with the training and the input and everything like that. So it took me the best part of a year to verbalise it and be like, no, this is what I'm doing, I'm set on my decision, and these are my reasons why. If you're a retiring athlete, especially if you've been doing it for so long, it's your identity. And my husband was brilliant in that he has some knowledge of sporting background, and he was fully aware that he felt I was losing my identity if I stepped down as Scotland captain. So, and I think that really did hit home, but he constantly reassured me that there's more to life after hockey. People won't forget who you are, and I'm still so heavily involved in the sport that they're not going to forget you.
Inis na Iar Cheann-Suidhe hockey na Alba, ha Kaz an dachas go burgi bruidhinn na Thoiridh dash gan spárs a Hogaidh dheidhinn.
If you were to ask the Scottish Hockey Office, I think they wished I would just disappear. I am forever badgering them or floating around or just wanting to know how we can take hockey to a whole new level. You know, I do look at other sports and I see them on the telly, and I just think, why are we not there? Why is hockey not all over the place? Why are people not just buying into it as much as I love it? And so when the opportunity for vice president came up, it really, straight away I made it known that I'd actually really like to be involved in that, because I'd already asked about how can I help hockey, how can I give back? I think I've taken so much from hockey for the last 20 years. I really want to know how I can give back and give, you know, make the sport better. And if any of my experience can be put to use, or even just my enthusiasm for the game. So yeah, when the vice president thing came round, I thought, oh, here we go, timing.
Ha Kaz an dachas inmh hockey artachach le atá carm gan a thulating a service ein bhon spárs.
Long term, we've obviously got our strategic plan for you know, your next 4-year block. You've got Birmingham 22 in there, and sort of building towards that. You still have to look, we've got athletes in contention for Tokyo, you know, they got put on hold. So on an international elite programme, there's lots going on. hoping that everything will go ahead. So there's lots of exciting stuff there. But on a general hockey front, I think that the biggest thing that we are continually trying to do is lift the profile to all areas. We are very strong across the Central Belt. Glasgow, Edinburgh do really well with hockey, but it's about, we've got some quality teams in Dundee, Aberdeen and down the borders, and it's just making sure, I talked about these sort of streams, it's making sure that we're constantly pulling hockey players from all over the country, and that they feel they have the opportunity to shine as well. So for me, that's a big one. As Vice President, that would be my remit, is to network and really bring the whole country together and make sure that we're putting hockey everywhere, all over the map.
Julie, it's just so evident how passionate Kaz is about playing for Scotland. Is that something you can relate to?
Yeah, absolutely. She's so passionate the way she speaks about her sport, and there's so many similarities in my own career. Just listening to the way Kaz is speaking about how proud she was to always pull on the Scotland jersey and kind of the sacrifices that she had to make along the way. And it's so similar. We play different sports, but her mentality is exactly the same as my own.
And just what she was talking about still wanting to be involved in the sport, is that something you feel strongly to with football?
Part of the fact I'm a PE teacher, I do a lot of kind of coaching, teaching throughout the day. I have 3 children now, and at the moment just one of them plays, and I have that kind of input there. So I've not gone into coaching in football, but it's certainly still everywhere in my life. I do a bit of work in the men's game and in the women's game, just in broadcasting, and I mean, every day in my house is football. My husband works in football, and just Kaz also talking about her husband's input and the fact that he could relate to her career as in sport is exactly the same as me, just having that person at home who understands going through your career, understands the sacrifices that you make, and kind of the amount of training that you've got to do. I think for me was a massive thing, and I would have had to have been with someone who could understand that, and I was very lucky that my husband knew all about elite level sport and was similar to Kaz, able to push me to be the best I could be.
And as Kaz was also saying, it is difficult in terms of retiring and announcing that. I mean, for you, how was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm nodding away when she's talking about that. I've never come out myself and said I have retired. I stopped playing when I was pregnant with my 3rd child, and that was kind of how I managed to fade away from football. And for me, it's tough. It's to accept that it's over as a player when I've played in a team since I was 9 years old, and for you then to go, this is it, it's final. I mean, I'm 39, I will not be a footballer again, but it's just those words that make everything so final, that part of your life and that chapter is finished. It's
so difficult just to even kind of come to terms with that. Is that
yeah,
how you felt?
I think for me, football was every single day. It was travelling at least once a month. We were with the national team. They were our family for a long time. They were our only friends as footballers, because you had no social life outside of football. If you weren't with the national team, you were with your club team and you were training. So for me, that was my full life for such a long time, and for that then not to be, it does leave a big gap, and I'm still envious of the players when they go away with the squad and you hear how much they're enjoying being together and they're training, and of course I look and I think how lucky, but I mean there's lots of other things that I can still achieve in my life, and hopefully I'll continue to find something else that can I fill that void now.
Well, never say never. Da bhliadhna bhon, Hogaidh Alba in Scipa Stáit Éireachta, mar farstin Jessica Gachka son cúpan cruinnidh dábhílas in diugh. Sin ha merganí go hogan dúis Anna Leon, ach van sin ha cúiscan a runacin san Scipa sin slí Jenna agus cluicheadair an an bhreating.
Áisí séas an Super League na ban an san dúlting an na sasing, iad an neartachach le cóicna bhna stáin I bhunig cúpan na cruinnidh. Ac I cheann sí Alex Morgan, sé dhéana henim in smó an na sùil spáirt na ban, inist coladh the Tottenham Hotspur. Chud Rose Lavelle agus Samantha Moose enim the cúnant ag Manchester City, agus na patrai sa bhías gléad cúchba FA. Ag yn nawm, chai Christian Press agus Tobin Heath gwn yn Naivchin City, Manchester United. A fuse an SWPL iddyn nhw'n rwyth y gianw, le siachna fwn y start yn claricher son yn teisensyn.
Meòrachadh Íseal dú ball a sin agus a hasbel post a chúl agus dheidhinn Rimsley t-seachdain sin ach bh ball a sin is dreibh a Caroline Weir Thoiridh Jama agus go meòrachadh de galap a burin te gunne sùil gaine sé Rimsley bit sin is stay ac I post a chúl. Paisley becan te hic a chud sa státe núna te tras a games ac a post a i ddíist. Chora me sin. Trín Ross a bhain fein suaga de seo le ceann. Lloyd Gaca le cúla agus sáil go mála Pew. Passing. Go Morgan, Garrigus de cúnat a seo te galapit. Pass. Mallory Pew agus a gora medical sheachad. Agus fa sin fasc. Alex Morgan, the sheer skill, and Pauline, this was close and looked like Alex Morgan was a bit of pull the trigger there.
Yeah, absolutely did, and just looking for maybe Chloe not to overcommit in that situation there and let her come inside.
Just to elaborate on that, Pauline, you want Chloe just to stand her ground a bit more there, just to make it a harder choice for her.
Yeah, just try and show her wide and keep her outside and make the angle more difficult.
Snatching a good pick at the game. So fast together. Mallory Pew, like Juval, like I said, here Thurlock. Now is Alex Morgan about Iar Cheann-Suidhe, the volley, agus Kaz Cuthbert, Suas, Art. Iona Ballantyne, dreuchd de soch of Thoiridh de Gamedicai. Agus had a check as the female Iar Cheann and Pauline. Couple of things here, the ball in, probably too much time, and then Alex Morgan comes in relatively unmarked, and a great finish to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the ball that goes out to Mallory Pew, we're hesitant there. We don't get enough pressure on it, and it's a fantastic cross that she puts in, and Morgan comes across the blind side of Chloe Arthur.
Kemper, van a life, yes, for the right, hier in de show. Allemaal goed, agus Cúnart de show. Maar sin ma, Cúl de Saal, agus Ash, agus Evelyn, Mabba, Shannon Lynn, Juliet, Sivan, the Cheann-Suidhe, though the books, hij is bij Smoenjenker, a Cheann-Suidhe. What a save that was from Shannon Lynn.
Yeah, it absolutely was. There was good runners, numbers in the box there, and you're just holding your breath there a little bit and waiting to see what happened.
So what goes in the box and Mallory Pew with the liquor. Kirsty Smith. Dheidhinn Casanach get the leap of Kayla. Pauline, that's just again when you're starting to get a foothold in the game. Mallory Pew once again at the centre of this incident. Just coming together with Kirsty Smith, and it seemed to be an easy decision for the referee.
Yeah, Kirsty's been caught wrong side there, and she's obviously just clipped her behind her or came in contact with her. She's went down. I don't think it's deliberate at all.
Lloyd. Asking of a way to the college from the cuideachd. Yes! Lloyd for the match of passing. Agus Jock Stoker and a cuideachd of a sin. Bhon of the finish. the cushion, yeah, but Pauline, you'd expect Carly Lloyd to stick that away.
Yeah, he absolutely would, and she's obviously went for power there, and Shannon's done well. She stood up. It's obviously came off the woodwork, so a fortunate moment for us.
Iadar Cheann-Suidhe in the pathkit. Ball Marshall, Colin Delana Cleland, agus Evelyn. Ashlyn Harris. And that was clear effort on goal, Pauline. Good ball by Christy Murray through there to free Lana Cleland.
Yep, it was fantastic first time pass, and a credit to Lana, she tries to take it with her left foot as well, which is not always something that a striker feels comfortable doing. Ashlyn Harris has proved up a good save.
Julie, some huge names coming and playing in England now. Are you excited to see them play?
Yeah, I think it just shows you how our game's developed here in over in Britain. Certainly England are that step ahead at the moment of Scotland, but it's exciting the fact that we've got a good number of national team players down there, and these Americans are only going to add to the quality of the league, and I think from that hopefully we'll see our players develop as well.
Is England now arguably one of the best places to play in the world?
I think it's very competitive, and I think the clubs are so well run that these players are looking over to England to want to come over, because it's very inclusive at these clubs, Man City and Arsenal, Man United, Tottenham. They look after their women's team as well, and I think they're a big part of what the club's about. And I think that acceptance of women's football now down there is something that the American players are looking to and want to come over and join the league.
And for you personally, I mean, when we mentioned earlier about you playing out in San Diego, just how different was it back then compared to football here?
At the time, I played for Ayr United here, so just before I signed for San Diego, and we played on the public park. Parents came to watch, maybe partners came to watch. Very few people, none of the games were televised. We travelled all over the country to try and just find other female clubs who wanted to compete at that level. It wasn't easy, there were very few. And then when I went to San Diego, we were a group of players, lots of them, as I said earlier, had played at the World Cup, and our own stadium would sell out every single game, and games were on the telly, on national TV. So it was massive. It was a massive jump. It was a huge kind of experience for me. I was only 21 at the time, and kind of the youngest player playing out there, because they go through college, and then when they leave college, they're then involved in the draft to join the league. And I had came immediately. So for the second half of that season, I was the only player of that kind of age. And it was a big jump, but for me, what was better than playing in front of fans, your game being on the telly, and playing alongside world-class players. So yeah, it was such an incredible experience, and one I'm very grateful that I was given. I
can imagine such a huge change from Ayr United to San Diego, but if we just look at the Scotland national team, I mean, they've got some huge games coming up, Portugal and Finland. How important is it that they really do the job now?
Yeah, these are two massive games. I think when the fixtures came out, Shelley would have been looking at the Finland game that they've already played, and then these two games is really the key to the campaign. And the expectation is very high on our national players now, having gone to the last two tournaments, and they definitely want to go through as the group winners, which is still very much in their hands if they beat Finland and Portugal in the next couple of games, and they're definitely capable of doing so. We've got a squad of players who are very, very talented, and we know from the game against Finland that they're capable of getting a result. We're certainly the better team for long spells of the game, and under Shelley's guidance, I do believe that they will manage to come through those two games with 6 points.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Well, sin son program eile, ma hang ford o Julie son bhí colrooms in studio. Fyrta séf garlantal gach seachgin YouTube, mar sin John Keane seachgin séf go bhfuil cordahréh go mi séf garlantal agus nach cailseh programs an bí. Cynnig go gra seo an program acibse, mar sin scelfaneach fat is farsing agus cymryd a coed. Fod ac i sports fawr nach na halbe, mar sin leif yn dras.